Hi, my name is Justin McManaway. I am going to present my problem solving method presentation. And if you give me a second here to adjust the screen and what we can see, I am a little new to this, which is pretty neat about this course, is being able to do this. So I will get into Alright, so the problem solving method that I'm presenting is actually a problem that we identified about 3 years ago, about 3.5. So when I was an apprentice, I took the rigging course, our certification course, and we had a wide range of experience in the room. So we had me being a fifth-year apprentice and my class of apprentices mixed in with journeymen that had more than 10 years of experience, and it didn't provide for a smooth training session, which we know most of the time is if it's not smooth, you start losing engagement, and that's the key, is keep them engaged, keep them connected. So the problem was the varying levels of on-the-job experience negatively impacting the rigging certification course. So what's the problem? Like I said, when I was an apprentice, I took the EPRI course, loved it. I didn't have any issue with the applied math, but the actual rigging application of the hardware and the do's and don'ts was a little tougher for me because I didn't do a lot in my apprenticeship. I had done some rigging, but I would say not rigging the right way, the correct way to that standard. So, the question was, is that normal? Is that the way it should be? And I think that the previous instructor kind of thought that, all right, this is just something we have to deal with. So after being an instructor, I started as an instructor for a couple of years, and then I was asked to start teaching the rigging course. And I had formed my own opinion to that question, and that is that it should not be that way, and it should not be normal. That problem needed to be addressed. We had some issues with our pass rate, which was really the only evaluation method that we really looked at the time. Wasn't as good as I thought it could be, as long as the apprentice applied themselves, right? And it was, while having a wide range of experience in that room is beneficial if you take advantage of it, it also can hold you back, because obviously if it's too steep a gradient for the apprentice, or too easy of a gradient, then you start losing those journeymen. So the problem statement is the varying range of experience is making it difficult to set a good pace. That's one thing I figured out as an instructor. The hardest thing is figuring out what pace keeps everybody engaged. You don't leave people behind, and you don't kind of push people out of it, right? And it made it very difficult to find the pace. It's hard to keep people engaged. It seemed like we were always trying to make sure everybody didn't fall behind, and you're kind of teaching to the slowest learner in the class, and you may end up losing out on 80% of the class. So, and our pass rate, like I said, was a little bit lower than what we want. So the possible solutions, and I talked with our training coordinator. Our coordinator at the time was our other rigging instructor. So we sat down and we talked it through, and I said, how do we provide this experience that maybe the apprentices aren't getting? Or even a journeyman. If a journeyman comes back and he hasn't done a lot of rigging, how do we provide that experience to them? So one option was just to add more nights to the EPRI course. The other option would be go back to rigging 1 in the first year and and maybe put some hands-on lessons in there. But I didn't really want to do that, because then you're requiring that journeyman maybe to come back and take both of those classes, which would be hard to get journeyman to do sometimes. So then we had this, what if we created an intermediate rigging course in between there that would provide that experience and would start the exposure to the math basics that you need for the rigging. So, adding to the EPRI course would require more schedule space. It would require an additional $500 because we only had enough rigging to do the testing. And if you're going to keep everybody engaged in the training, you have to really have 2 or 3 times the amount of equipment to keep everybody busy, right? It would require more instructor availability, and would require changes to the approved curriculum, because our curriculum, of course, is approved through the Department of Labor. So when you tweak that or change it, the JC has to approve it, and that has to go to we have to update the Department of Labor on that. So if we changed rigging 1, still would cost us the $500. Still would require those changes to the curriculum, but it would reduce the time spent on some of the rigging awareness that is important when we talk about something that is so hazard prone, which is industrial rigging. So we kind of took that option just off the table with me and the training coordinator, because we didn't really like it. We didn't want to pull away from anything. So if we created this intermediate rigging course, it would still require more schedule space. It would require the $500 investment. It would require more instructor availability, and would also require the changes to the approved curriculum. But we kind of felt going into the meeting that that was the best option to provide that level of training that we were looking for. So what was involved? We had to present basically the problem, the solutions to the coordinator of the JAC board, and after some discussion, they understood what we were going for, and they approved going after the intermediate rigging course. So then, of course, that fell on to me. I collaborated with the other rigging instructor. We created, in my opinion, an awesome, and here I put solid hands-on experience that really kept our apprentices engaged. It was a level of training that they hadn't seen from our program yet. And it made, when we got to the math basics, we could show them direct application why they need to know how to do the Pythagorean theorem or use SOHCAHTOA to solve angles. It like clicked. It was the visual piece that we had been missing. So our new plan of action. I volunteered to teach the new course. Of course, I was excited, and I wanted to see it through. We implemented the new course the following year, and that was a combination of hands-on and the direct applied math. And really, the apprentices enjoyed coming here and doing that course. It wasn't just a bookwork course. It was really enjoyable, and that still is my favorite course to teach. So, did it work, right? Before we just looked at certification pass rate, and that was really it. So we did plan. How can we tell if this works? We'd do a couple different things, right? We would basically, the final exam for that rigging 2 or intermediate rigging would be given the first night of the EPRI certification class. And that would build us the baseline data of what those apprentices know coming in without rigging 2, and we would keep doing that and see what rigging 2 provided, right? And then, of course, we would monitor that pass-fail rate for the certification testing. So, improvement to baseline knowledge, right? We gave that final exam, and we did it for 3 years, and actually I just did it for the 4th year, and it really showed us that what we were doing was working. So So basically year 1 and 2 showed us that only about 50% of the apprentices had the baseline knowledge that we thought we were starting with all along. And that was where we kind of dropped the ball. Year 3 showed we were about at 80%, which is awesome. And then this year, we really 100% of those apprentices had exactly what we needed when we started, which was awesome. And then the certification performance, it's a 2-part. It's a computer-based theory test and a hands-on. And our historical data was about 75% on each. Actually, the practical was maybe more about 70, but I'd say 75% overall. And after implementing the rigging 2, the apprentices that went through both the rigging 2 and the EPRI rigging, we really haven't had an apprentice fail the computer base yet. And I only had one so far fail the practical, and that was on a minor thing, but unfortunately that is very rigid. Pass-fail kind of is what it is through EPRI. So I say that it's a big success. What we did worked. And in summary, right, the plan worked. Our riggers, our apprentices, our journeymen that complete the program, they're more comfortable in taking the lead in a rigging situation, which they should be. They're more confident in their abilities. The success markers proved that the plan worked. And it has worked so well that last year I had to actually change the EPRI rigging course and add more lesson plan material because we got so efficient that the apprentices are surpassing really where they normally would have been, which is awesome. So I think that that's been the big success. And we did this, and we went through all the steps of the problem-solving method, but I guess we really didn't even know that we were doing it. So when it came to this assignment, it really clicked and triggered to me. I said, we did this. We already did this, and the great part is that it worked. And again, we got so efficient that it's driving us to keep looking back and saying, all right, what's next? How can we improve it? So that's really my problem-solving experience, and I think it is something that we need to carry out in every class and every course. And now that I'm the training coordinator, my plan is to go back and start auditing the programs, the other classes that we teach, make sure the syllabus is on par or up to par, make sure there's a schedule, and really audit what we're doing to get and raise the standard across the bar for us. So thank you for your time. I didn't really think it would be 13 minutes long, but I did really enjoy sharing this because it is a big success. So thank you.